Right now, at this very moment, your hair follicles are making a decision. They're deciding whether to keep growing strong and thick or whether to start shutting down and giving up. And here's what most women over 50 don't realize. Every single day you're making choices that either feed your follicles the fuel they desperately need or quietly starve them until they can't produce hair anymore. You look in the mirror and you notice it. That wider part down the middle of your scalp, more scalp showing through than you remember. Your ponytail feels thinner when you wrap that hair tie around it, and you need one more loop than you used to. You find those strands on your pillow in the morning stuck to your sweater, circling the shower drain. And someone probably told you this is just what happens when you get older, just part of aging, just something you have to accept. But I'm here to tell you that's not the whole truth. What if I told you that 4 simple nuts sitting in your pantry right now could actually help regrow your hair, while 4 other nuts that everyone calls healthy are quietly stealing your hair away strand by strand? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share isn't some miracle cure or magic potion. It's backed by medical research. It's happening in women's bodies every single day. And most doctors won't take the time to explain it to you in a way that actually makes sense. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now, because this information needs to reach every woman who's struggling with thinning hair. And drop a comment below with your age and where you're watching from. I want to build a community of women who refuse to accept that hair loss is just their fate. Here's what you need to understand first. Your hair follicles are living organs. Think of them like tiny gardens under your scalp. Just like a garden needs specific nutrients from the soil, specific amounts of water, and the right conditions to grow beautiful flowers, your hair follicles need specific nutrients to produce strong, thick hair. When you hit your 50s, everything changes. Your estrogen levels drop dramatically. This hormone that's been protecting your hair follicles for decades suddenly decreases. And when it does, other hormones called androgens start taking over. These androgens, which include testosterone, start affecting your follicles in a completely different way. They make your follicles shrink. They shorten the growing phase of your hair. And over time, those follicles produce thinner and thinner strands until eventually some of them stop producing hair altogether. Medical research shows us that over 50% of women over age 50 will experience noticeable hair loss. By age 60, that number jumps to 80%. This isn't just vanishing. This is an epidemic that nobody talks about openly. But here's where it gets really interesting. Studies have found that specific nutrients can actually protect your follicles from this hormonal attack. They can create a shield around your follicles. They can reduce inflammation that damages the roots. They can provide the building blocks your body needs to manufacture strong hair proteins. And nuts, these small but mighty foods, contain concentrated amounts of exactly these nutrients. The problem is that not all nuts are created equal. Some nuts are absolute powerhouses for hair regrowth. Others, even though they're marketed as healthy, can actually trigger inflammation, cause mineral imbalances, and accelerate hair loss in women over 50. I've talked to women who increased their nut intake thinking they were doing something good for their health, only to watch their hair get thinner over the following months. One woman shared how she'd been eating the same trail mix every afternoon for 2 years, thinking she was being healthy, never connecting it to her progressive hair thinning. When she finally eliminated one specific nut from her diet and added 2 others, after about 16 weeks, she could see new baby hairs growing along her hairline. These weren't random coincidences. These were the result of understanding which nuts feed your follicles and which ones starve them. Now I know what you're thinking. How can something as simple as changing which nuts I eat actually make a difference? When your estrogen drops during menopause, your body becomes more sensitive to inflammation. Foods that might not have bothered you in your 30s and 40s can now trigger inflammatory responses that travel through your bloodstream and attack the weakest points in your body. For many women, those weak points are the hair follicles. At the same time, your body's ability to absorb certain minerals changes. You might be eating foods with nutrients in them, but your digestive system isn't pulling those nutrients out efficiently anymore. This means you need more concentrated, more bioavailable sources of the exact minerals your follicles are screaming for. Coming in at number 4 on our list of nuts that can help regrow your hair is one that most American women don't eat nearly enough of, and that's the walnut. Now, before you think this is too simple to matter, let me explain what's happening inside your body when you eat walnuts. Walnuts contain something called alpha-linolenic acid. This is an omega-3 fatty acid, and what this really means is that it's a type of fat that reduces inflammation throughout your entire body, including the inflammation attacking your hair follicles right now. Think of it like this. Your hair shaft needs to stay flexible and strong, not brittle and breaking. The oils from walnuts actually get incorporated into your hair structure, making each strand more resilient. But that's not all walnuts do. They're also packed with biotin, which is a B vitamin that your body uses as a building block to manufacture the protein that makes up your hair. Without enough biotin, your body literally cannot produce strong hair strands. Walnuts also contain vitamin E, and this vitamin acts like a bodyguard for your scalp. It protects the tissues on your scalp from oxidative stress, which is basically rust forming on your cells. When your scalp tissues are healthy and protected, they create a better environment for hair follicles to do their work. Walnuts contain copper, and copper is essential for maintaining your hair's natural color and preventing premature graying, while also supporting the structure of each hair strand. Many women who've tried this report that adding just a handful of walnuts to their daily routine, about 7 to 9 walnuts, starts showing effects within 2 to 3 months. One woman told me she'd been shedding clumps of hair every time she shampooed. She started eating walnuts every morning mixed into her oatmeal. After about 10 weeks, the shedding had decreased to just a few strands. After 5 months, she could feel tiny new hairs growing in along her temples. The key is consistency and the right amount. Too few and you won't get enough of the beneficial compounds. Moving up to number 3, we have almonds, and these are the workhorses of hair nutrition. If walnuts are the anti-inflammatory guards, almonds are the construction workers building new hair. Almonds are one of the richest food sources of vitamin E available. Just 1 ounce of almonds, which is about 23 almonds, gives you nearly half of your daily vitamin E requirement. This matters tremendously for women over 50 because vitamin E improves blood flow to your scalp. Your hair follicles are fed by tiny blood vessels, and if blood isn't flowing efficiently to those vessels, the follicles don't get the oxygen and nutrients they need. Vitamin E helps keep those blood vessels open and flowing. Almonds also provide high-quality protein, and this is crucial because your hair is made of a protein called keratin. If your body doesn't have enough protein building blocks circulating in your bloodstream, it will prioritize other organs over hair production. Your body sees hair as non-essential for survival, so when resources are limited, hair production shuts down first. By eating almonds regularly, you're ensuring your body has plenty of protein available. But here's where almonds really shine for women over 50. They contain magnesium, and most American women are deficient in magnesium without even knowing it. Magnesium helps regulate your stress response, and chronic stress is one of the biggest triggers for hair loss in menopausal women. I've talked to women who started eating a small handful of almonds, about 15 to 20, every afternoon as a snack. They reported feeling calmer, sleeping better, and after a few months, noticing their hair felt fuller. One woman described how her hairdresser commented that her hair seemed thicker during a cut, and she hadn't changed anything except adding almonds to her daily routine. The biotin in almonds works together with the protein and vitamin E to create ideal conditions for hair growth. You want raw or dry roasted almonds. not the honey, roasted or heavily salted varieties. Those added sugars and excess sodium can actually trigger inflammation that counteracts the benefits. Now we're at number 2, and this is where things get really interesting. Brazil nuts are the selenium superstars, and for women over 50 experiencing hair loss, selenium might be the missing puzzle piece you've been searching for. Here's why this matters so much. Your thyroid gland, that butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, controls your metabolism and has a massive impact on hair growth. Many women in their 50s develop thyroid issues without realizing it. Subclinical hypothyroidism, which means your thyroid is underperforming but not enough to show up dramatically on standard blood tests, is incredibly common. And guess what one of the first symptoms is? Thinning hair. Selenium is absolutely essential for thyroid function. Your thyroid cannot convert thyroid hormones into their active form without adequate selenium. When your thyroid isn't functioning optimally, your hair growth cycle gets disrupted. The growing phase shortens, the shedding phase lengthens, and you end up with less hair on your head overall. Brazil nuts contain more selenium than virtually any other food. Just one Brazil nut gives you about 70 to 90 micrograms of selenium, and the recommended daily amount is 5 micrograms. This means 1 to 2 Brazil nuts per day gives you everything you need. But here's the critical warning that most people don't talk about. More is not better with selenium. Too much selenium, anything over 400 micrograms per day on a regular basis, can actually cause hair to fall out. I've heard from women who thought if 1 Brazil nut was good, 5 must be better. They ate handfuls of Brazil nuts every day and ended up making their hair loss worse. The correct approach is 1 to 2 Brazil nuts maximum per day. Do that consistently, and many women report seeing improvements in their energy levels first, then after about 8 to 12 weeks, noticing their hair shedding has decreased. Medical research has confirmed that correcting selenium deficiency can stop hair loss and promote regrowth, but only when selenium is in the right range. One woman shared that her dermatologist tested her selenium levels, found them low, and recommended Brazil nuts. Within 4 months of eating 2 Brazil nuts daily, her lab work showed normal selenium levels, and she could see a visible difference in her hair thickness. But as helpful as these 3 nuts are, before we get to number 1 of the nuts that help regrowth, we need to talk about the dark side first. Because even if you're eating all the right nuts, if you're also eating the wrong ones, you're sabotaging yourself. You're pouring water into a bucket with holes in the bottom. So let's switch gears and talk about the 4 nuts that are quietly causing hair fall. Starting with number 4 of the nuts causing hair loss, we have cashews. Now stay with me, because I know cashews are delicious and they're in everything from trail mix to stir, fry to dairy-free cheese. But here's the problem. Cashews are very high in omega-6 fatty acids. You've probably heard that omega-6 is an essential fatty acid, and that's true. Your body needs some omega-6, but the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 in your diet matters enormously. Most American women are already getting way too much omega-6 from vegetable oils, processed foods, and grain-fed meat. When you add cashews on top of that, you're pushing your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio even further out of balance. And when this ratio gets too high, it promotes inflammation throughout your body. Remember how we talked about inflammation attacking your hair follicles? This is one of the ways it happens. Medical research has found that chronic low-grade inflammation is a key driver of hair loss in women over 50. That tight, sometimes itchy feeling on your scalp, that's inflammation. Cashews also have a high glycemic load despite being nuts, meaning they can spike your blood sugar more than other nuts. When your blood sugar spikes repeatedly, it triggers a cascade of hormonal responses, including increased insulin and increased androgens, the very hormones that are already attacking your follicles during menopause. I've talked to women who eliminated cashews from their diet and replaced them with walnuts or almonds. Several reported that their scalp felt less irritated, and over the course of a few months, their hair loss seemed to slow down. Moving to number 3 on the damaging list, we have peanuts, and I know this is going to be controversial because peanuts are everywhere in American diets. peanut butter sandwiches, trail mix, Thai food, snack mixes. But here's what you need to understand. First, peanuts aren't actually nuts. They're legumes that grow underground, and this matters because they're more susceptible to contamination with molds. Many peanuts contain low levels of aflatoxin, which is a toxin produced by certain molds. Your liver has to work to detoxify aflatoxins, and when your liver is overworked, it cannot efficiently process hormones. For women going through menopause, you need your liver working optimally to clear out excess androgens and metabolize estrogen properly. Second, peanuts are one of the most common food sensitivities in adults. Even if you don't have a full-blown peanut allergy, food sensitivities create immune responses, and immune responses mean inflammation. That inflammation circles back to attacking the weakest points in your body, including hair follicles. Third, most peanuts and peanut butter you buy contain added sugars, hydrogenated oils, and salt. These additives spike inflammation even more. Many women report that when they eliminated peanut butter from their daily routine, they noticed their overall inflammation improved. One woman told me she'd been eating peanut butter toast every morning for years. She switched to almond butter, and within 6 weeks, she noticed her chronic scalp tenderness had disappeared. After 3 months, her hairdresser commented that her hair looked healthier. Number 2 on the list of hair damaging nuts is pistachios. I know these are a favorite for many women because they're fun to eat and they've been promoted as heart healthy. But for women over 50 with hair loss, pistachios present some specific problems. First, pistachios are very high in omega-6 fatty acids similar to cashews. This throws off that crucial omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, promoting inflammation. Second, pistachios are often heavily salted. Excess sodium intake affects blood pressure and circulation. Remember how we talked about blood flow to the scalp being essential for hair follicle health. High sodium intake constricts blood vessels, reducing that vital blood flow to your scalp. Third, pistachios can be high in mold toxins if not stored properly. Like peanuts, this creates an extra burden on your liver. And fourth, many women don't realize they're eating way more pistachios than they think. Because they come in shells and you eat them slowly, it's easy to sit down with a bag and consume several ounces without realizing it. Several women have shared with me that they were eating pistachios every evening while watching television. When they stopped and tracked what happened over the next few months, they noticed the shedding decreased. One woman said she replaced her nightly pistachio habit with walnuts and within 4 months saw genuine improvement in hair thickness. Now this is it. We've arrived at the most devastating mistake. The number one nut that's causing hair fall in women over 50. It's macadamia nuts. I can hear you protesting already. Macadamia nuts are supposed to be the healthiest, most premium nuts available. They're expensive, they're creamy and delicious. How could they possibly be bad for hair? Here's the brutal truth. Macadamia nuts are almost entirely fat. About 75% of a macadamia nut is fat. And while some of that fat is beneficial monounsaturated fat, the sheer quantity overwhelms your system. When you consume that much fat at once, your liver has to produce massive amounts of bile to break it down. This diverts resources away from your liver's other critical functions, including hormone metabolism. For menopausal women, your liver is already working overtime trying to process the hormonal chaos happening in your body. Overloading it with excessive fat from macadamia nuts makes everything worse. But here's where it gets even more problematic. Macadamia nuts are very low in protein compared to other nuts, and they're also low in the specific minerals your hair follicles desperately need, like zinc and selenium. So when you eat macadamia nuts thinking you're being healthy, you're consuming a huge amount of calories and fat, but getting very little of what your hair actually needs. Macadamia nuts have a very poor omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. While they're not as high in omega-6 as cashews or pistachios, they contain almost no omega-3, which means they don't help balance out all the omega-6 you're getting from other sources. I've heard from women who loved macadamia nuts and ate them frequently. When they tracked their hair loss carefully, they noticed patterns. The months when they ate more macadamia nuts, their shedding was worse. One woman told me her nutritionist actually recommended macadamia nuts for their healthy fats, but after 4 months of eating them regularly, her hair was visibly thinner. She switched to the hair healthy nuts, and after 5 months she could see baby hairs filling in where she'd had noticeable thinning. During menopause, your metabolism slows down significantly. Foods that your body could handle easily in your 30s and 40s now cause problems. Macadamia nuts might be fine for a younger woman with robust hormones and fast metabolism, but for a woman over 50 already dealing with hormonal hair loss, they're adding insult to injury. This is the key that unlocks everything else. If you're eating macadamia nuts regularly, stop, replace them with the hair healthy nuts, and watch what happens over the next 3 to 6 months. So let me bring this all together, because there's one final nut we haven't discussed yet, and it's the number one nut that can actually help regrow your hair. It's the humble pecan. Now, I know pecans don't get the attention that almonds and walnuts get. They're often overlooked or just used in pies during the holidays. But for hair growth in women over 50, pecans are absolute gold. Here's why. Pecans contain an extraordinary amount of zinc. Zinc is one of the most important minerals for hair growth, and most American women over 50 are deficient in it without knowing. Zinc's deficiency shows up as hair loss, usually diffuse thinning all over the scalp. Zinc plays several critical roles in hair health. It helps your follicles grow and repair themselves. It keeps the oil glands around your follicles working properly. And most importantly, zinc helps regulate the hormones that are attacking your follicles during menopause. Pecans also contain iron, and iron deficiency is another hidden cause of hair loss in women. When you don't have enough iron, your body cannot deliver adequate oxygen to your hair follicles. Those follicles essentially suffocate and go dormant. Many women experiencing hair loss have low ferritin levels, which is your body's iron storage. But here's where pecans really become the number one choice. They contain an amino acid called L-arginine, which improves blood circulation. Better circulation means more nutrients and oxygen reaching your scalp, which means healthier, more active follicles. Pecans also have copper, manganese, and thiamine, creating a complete nutrient package for hair health. Medical research has found that when women increase their zinc intake to optimal levels, hair shedding decreases and regrowth improves within 3 to 4 months. One woman shared that her doctor tested her zinc levels and found them borderline low. Instead of supplements, she started eating about 10 to 12 pecan halves every day. After 12 weeks, her follow-up lab work showed her zinc levels had normalized, and she noticed significantly less hair on her brush. After 6 months, she could actually see new growth along her hairline, something she hadn't seen in years. Here's the fix, the simple implementation roadmap that you can start today. First, eliminate or drastically reduce the 4 damaging nuts: cashews, peanuts, pistachios, and macadamias. Clean out your pantry. Check ingredient labels on snack bars and trail mixes. These nuts hide everywhere. Second, start incorporating the 4 beneficial nuts into your daily routine. Eat 7 to 9 walnuts every morning, maybe mixed into yogurt or oatmeal. Have 15 to 20 almonds as an afternoon snack. Eat 1 to 2 Brazil nuts daily, no more, perhaps right before bed. And add 10 to 12 pecan halves to your lunch salad or as a mid-morning snack. This combination gives you omega-3 fatty acids to fight inflammation, vitamin E for scalp health, selenium for thyroid function, zinc for hormone regulation, and iron for oxygen delivery. You're hitting every major nutritional need your follicles have. Third, be consistent for at least 3 to 6 months. Hair grows slowly. Your follicles that have been damaged don't heal overnight. The hair you see on your head today actually started growing 3 to 4 months ago. This means any changes you make today won't show visible results until several months from now. Don't give up after 3 weeks saying it didn't work. Many women report noticing decreased shedding first, usually around 8 to 12 weeks. Then increased thickness and new growth becomes visible between 4 to 6 months. Fourth, pay attention to how you're storing and preparing these nuts. Buy raw or dry, roasted versions without added oils, salt, or sugar. Store them in airtight containers in a cool, dark place or in the refrigerator to prevent them from going rancid. Rancid nuts contain oxidized fats that cause inflammation. And fifth, remember, this is not about perfection. This is about changing your daily patterns and overall balance. Make the hair healthy nuts your default choice. I want you to understand something important. Your hair loss is not your fault, and it's not a character flaw. Your body is going through massive hormonal changes that are completely natural, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. You deserve to feel confident at every age. You deserve to look in the mirror and see the vibrant, beautiful woman you are. Don't let anyone tell you this is just something you have to accept. Yes, you might not get back to the exact hair you had at 25, and that's okay, but you can absolutely improve thickness, reduce shedding, and promote regrowth with the right nutritional support. Remember, these changes take time and patience. Your body didn't lose its hair overnight, and it won't regrow overnight either. But women all across America are experiencing real improvements by making exactly these changes. They're seeing less hair in their brush, less clogging their shower drain, thicker ponytails, and new baby hairs growing where there was only scalp showing before. You can be one of them. Start today. Go check your pantry right now and make the switch. If you found this valuable, hit that like button so other women can find this information. Share this with women in your life who might be struggling with thinning hair. Drop a comment below telling me which nut surprised you most or which change you're going to make first. Subscribe to this channel for more content about thriving after 50. Your best years are not behind you. They're right now, and you deserve to feel beautiful and confident living them.